Ma'am, we will wait for 2 minutes, then we will start.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Good afternoon, all. We welcome you, ma'am, once again. And dear participant, we will continue second session with ma'am. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, in this session, we would concentrate more towards the hands-on, and we would see that how Python is able to do the predictions using machine learning algorithms. First of all, let me know if you have any doubts or questions from the previous session. And then I would like to first of all cover the types of machine learning algorithms, and then we would switch on to the hands-on. So any doubts or questions? Okay. So first of all, we would see that what are the different types of algorithms. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay. I am switching off the video to just to save the bandwidth. Okay. So if you see here, before we start with the types of machine learning, we first need to understand what is the ultimate aim of machine learning. So for this, we need to first of all find out what is dependent and independent variables. Whenever we write an equation like y is equal to mx plus c, this is a simple equation for straight line, and this is also an equation for regression. So if you write this particular equation, it is very clear that y is a dependent variable and x is an independent variable. But on the basis of the values of x, you would get the values of y. So if suppose I take m is equal to 1 and c is equal to 1, then accordingly I can have a table of x and y like I can have a table saying that what will be the values of x, what will be the value for y's for corresponding values of x. So I can have something like x is equal to then, and then what is the value of y? Y is 2. If x is equal to 2, then y is equal to 4, and so on. So I get the values of y depending on the values of x. If suppose I change the values of this m and c, then correspondingly I will have different set of values for x and y. If suppose the value of x is 1, then this is 2 plus 1, 3. If x is equal to 2, then 4 plus 1, 5. is equal to 3, then it is 3 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 7, like this. So again, I have a different set of values of x and y on the basis of the values of m and c. So if I want to plot these values, then it would be something like this. If I want to plot these values, then it would be something like this. And correspondingly, I will have different graphs on the basis of the values of m and c, because these are the two parameters on the basis of which you are getting the values of y corresponding to the different values of x. I'm again repeating. You are getting the values of y corresponding to the values of x on the basis of the values of m and c. Correct? Because if you change the values of m and c, then accordingly you will have different set of values for y and for different value of y, and accordingly you would have a different graph. So these two parameters are known as hyperparameters. These two parameters are known as hyperparameters because I am getting different set of graphs on the basis of these two parameters. One graph is this, another graph is, let me have a different color. Another graph is this. So they have different graphs on the basis of the values of m and c. These are known as hyperparameters, and correspondingly, I can have two types of data, qualitative data and quantitative data. So when I was showing you the data set in the morning, I told you that that was a categorical data. Categorical data, but that is the name of the state. The name of the state is a categorical data. And the numerical data is the number of confirmed cases, number of deaths or recoveries. This was all numerical data. So the categorical data is also known as the qualitative data because it talks about quality and not the quantity. Qualitative data can be nominal, like we talk about the gender, the race, etc., which doesn't have any fixed order, or it can be ordinal, so which has an order. Suppose grades A plus, B plus, C plus, like this. And binary is having the values of 0 and 1, pass and fail, like this. So first of all, you first decide your why. As I told in the morning, also an example in which I had to go from A and B, and I was asking you that what are the parameters for deciding, what is the P, the criteria for performance, correct? So I was talking about the criteria for performance, that what should be the criteria for performance. I hope you are able to hear well, you know? At any point of time, if you feel any problem, just let me know. Okay. So we were talking about in the morning that what should be the criteria for performance. That is basically we want to find out our predictable value. What I need to predict. Should I need to predict the distance? Should I need to predict the time? Or should I predict the ease, the stress-free life? What is my prediction? Now, this prediction, why? That is a predictable variable, is a qualitative or it is quantitative. And on the basis of that, we would decide that which algorithm should be applicable in this particular problem. Correct? Because I got a question in the morning also that how to decide which algorithm to use for a data set. So first of all, it is supervised and unsupervised. That is, the data is labeled or not labeled. And secondly, we will have for this. So we talk about labeled and labeled data in detail also in the due course of time. But at this point of time, we just consider that if y, if the data, that is the x and the y is nominal, ordinal, binary, or it is discrete and continuous. What is discrete and continuous? Discrete is fixed numbers, 2, 10, 1 lakh, 2 and 20,000. This is all discrete. This is quantitative, and continuous is like this. For every value of x, you would have a value of y, like this. This is continuous. And here comes the supervised and unsupervised. So this is what? Can anybody tell me whether this is supervised or unsupervised? You can put it onto the chat box if you want. Is this supervised or unsupervised? The one which I have inserted. Anyone? This is supervised or unsupervised? Supervised? Okay. Anyone else? Supervised. Okay. Perfect. So this is supervised because the teacher is telling you what to do and what not to do. So this is perfectly supervised because there is someone to tell you what to do and what not to do. So this is, of course, supervised. And what would be the supervised? And what is learning by own? Very good. So this is unsupervised. This is unsupervised because there is no one to tell you what to do and what not to do. Correct. And generally what happens in the day-to-day lives, we go for a combination of these two. Some of the things you are told and some of the things you have to do it on your own, like this. Again, this is reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning says that you learn from the feedback. Suppose if you get a scolding, then you would get to know that, okay, you have done something wrong. And if you get a chocolate for doing something, then you realize that, okay, whatever you have done is correct. Right? So this is reinforcement learning. Just learning from the environment, and you get a feedback for it. Whatever you do, you get a feedback, and on the basis of the feedback, you continue doing it if it is correct, and you stop doing it if it is not correct. Okay, so that is reinforcement learning. So we do a combination of these two. And in the normal ways, what I'll say that a supervised data is the one which is labeled data. So if I have columns and the names of the columns are mentioned that this is age and this is roll number, then this is a supervised data. And if suppose I have images, I have circles like this, and I say that this is a circle, this is a circle, and this is a circle. So it is supervised. And if I don't tell that these are circles, then this means that I have to identify its features, get to know its features, and then only I can say that, okay, whether it is whether it is a circle or not on the basis of the features. Like I suppose if I want to compare a circle with a rectangle, so what I'll say, a rectangle will have 4 lines, 4 sides, 4 angles, and out of which these two are same and these two are same, like this. So these can be some of the features of a rectangle, but they are different from a circle. So from only on the basis of the features, I am deciding that whether it is a circle or a rectangle. Then it is a unsupervised learning. Feature extraction happens in the case of supervised also, but the data is labeled. Okay. So like this is an example of supervised learning with the labeled data. I know what this is Tom and this is Jerry. And in the case of unsupervised, like this, which is not labeled. And this is an important slide which says that supervised learning can be of two types. If it is a continuous target variable means y, the one which you have to predict. If it is continuous, then we go for regression. And if it is categorical, we go for classification. And classification can be done by a different number of methods. In fact, neural networks is also a part of classification. Sometimes we do neural networks with unlabeled data also, and it becomes a part of clustering also. But generally, we go for neural networks for classification. So if it is a continuous variable, continuous y variable, then it is regression. If it is categorical, it is classification. Yeah. And unsupervised is, it is non-labeled data. And if it is unsupervised, then we have a lot of types of clusterings and association techniques, a priori, ECLAC, FP growth. So these are different types of association techniques, unsupervised. And there are so many clustering methods, hierarchical clustering, partitioning, density. So this is just one slide that I have added to give you a brief idea that what are the different algorithms that are there. Agglomerative clustering, then a DB-scan. DB-scan is a very important algorithm which is used in the case of density. So if you do the partitioning, you do the cluster. What is clustering basically? That is, if suppose I have this data, I have triangles, I have circles, I have rectangles, I have this type of a data. Okay? So once this is the input data, this is the input data, and then I have to do the clustering of this, the grouping of the data. Yes. So I can say that, okay, one cluster is formed like this, and I don't know the number of clusters beforehand. As and when the data comes in, I put it into that particular cluster and I get these clusters. So these are the three clusters that are formed. If I add one more, like suppose if I want add a star to this, so this star is then put into another cluster. It is not added to the same cluster like this. So the number of clusters that are going to have is not fixed. As and when you get the data, that many number of clusters are formed. Now, this is important, which I wanted to show you the slide, that it depends upon the type of the data that you have. And accordingly, you can decide that which algorithm to go for. If the y, that is a predictable variable, the variable to be predicted is discrete. Discrete means fixed numbers, 20, 40, fixed numbers. And the data is labeled, I go for classification. If the data is discrete and it is not labeled, I go for clustering. If the data is continuous like this, if the data is continuous and labeled, I go for regression. And if it is not labeled, I go for dimensionality reduction. So you got an idea that how to decide which algorithm to apply onto the data? Yes? Got an
Yes,
idea
ma'am.
how to decide?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, great. So let's now start with the hands-on, because I wanted to discuss this. That is, what are the different types of algorithms and how to decide which algorithm to go for. Okay. So those who have Anaconda installed onto their systems can go for Anaconda, PyTorch, or Jupyter, whatever. If they have some software installed onto that system, then they can go for that particular software. If not, then we would go for Colab. Okay, so let me first just write Colab on the Google search bar and click on the first result, colab.research.google.com. Colab is nothing but a cloud platform which is given by Google, on which you can execute your machine learning algorithms. And in this case, actually, you did not have any PyTorch or Jupyter installed onto your system. So Colab is a very good software as a service that has been provided by Google, on which you can execute your machine learning algorithms. And you need to log in with your Gmail credentials, and you would be able to come to the welcome screen of Colab. And then you go for file and new notebook. So probably you would come to a new note. So just let me know onto the chat box once you are done till here, so that I can start discussing the code then. Since you people have already told me that you have an idea of NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn, and these three most important libraries, so I'm not going into the details of these libraries, but if you say so, I will go through it. So just let me know again if you want to have a discussion on NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. Just let me know if you want to have a discussion, and also let me know once you are through and you are able to come to this particular screen. Okay, Gayatri. sklearn is actually a library of Python which contains a lot of data sets, and also a lot of data sets on which you can try doing it with normal coding. Okay, so sklearn is a library like NumPy and Pandas, but it has a lot of data sets. Okay. Yes, Chetan said I would share the data set with you. Don't worry for that. So sklearn contains a lot of data sets on which you can work upon. And then it makes your tasks a little easier, in which you don't have to search for the data. Because in the morning, as I told you, there are different steps which are involved in executing any machine learning algorithm. And gathering the data set is one of them, which takes a lot of time and efforts. So this solves your work. I have shared the data set with you. It's a small file of COVID data set, very similar to the one which we discussed in the morning. Why do I say very similar is but the one because this is the file which was a little earlier. This had the data only till last year. So it is a very small file. The one which I was showing in the morning is quite large. And I would have not been able to share it over here through this chat. So that is why I chose this file. Actually, it was 72 MB. And 72 MB cannot be shared on this Zoom chat. So that is why I chose this file to be discussed in this particular session. So let me know if you have received the file.
वाइट तो होगा नहीं नहीं लाइट पूरा पानी है.
I would request you all to please mute your mics. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So you have received the file. See it very carefully how you upload the file. In the case of Python, in the case of PyTorch or Jupyter, what you do is you save your file anywhere, and then you can give the link to that file. So it's easier in the case of Anaconda or Jupyter Notebook. I'll show you in Jupyter also how to do it. But meanwhile, you just see this in Colab, how you do that. Like, let me show you in Jupyter also. Are you able to see Jupyter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me show you any file. So in this case, you just have to store it anywhere, wherever you want. And then you can give the link of that particular folder. like this. So, but in the Colab, what you have to do is you have to click on this rectangular box. Please see it very carefully. Click on this rectangular box, and then you can disconnecting to a runtime to enable file browsing. So it will give me an option of uploading the file here. It's taking some time. Yeah. So here you get this sign, a rectangular box with a arrow going upwards. You click on this, and then you can give the link of the file. I've copy pasted this code in which it contains the inclusion of importing of all the libraries. Just click on the play button there. So it will include all these libraries in its program. NumPy, pandas, sklearn.datasets is, as I mentioned, it contains a lot of datasets on which you can experiment. TensorFlow is another library which is used to implement convolution neural networks and a lot of things. And Keras is built on the TensorFlow. So you include both these libraries. And I would be doing linear regression on this. So I have imported linear regression also. Because since I'm predicting the number of corona cases on a particular date, so I may go for linear regression, but though it's not a very good idea of including linear regression, logistic regression gives you binary data. It says yes, no, pass, fail, like this. So of course I cannot go for logistic regression because logistic regression will only give me yes or no binary data, but I want the number of confirmed cases on a particular date. So of course I cannot go for logistic regression, but yes, I could have gone for some other technique. Like I could have gone for decision trees, which could have given me a numerical data. But linear regression is also fine because it is a continuous data. The data is continuously rising. So I can go for linear regression as well. But linear is not actually going to solve my problem, though I could have gone for polynomial regression. So polynomial regression could have been better. It could have given me a curve that gives me better results. And then I would include the file. So I'm just copy pasting each and every line in the chat box so that you can try it out. Describe is used to describe the data frame. And in the first statement here, you are basically trying to read the CSV file with the help of the command from pandas, pandas.read_CSV. And describe describes the file, and the head command is used to print the head. I'm not sure whether you people are doing it along with me or not, so just let me know so that I'm not hurrying and you are with me. Great, Bhavna ma'am. I'll go a little slow so that you are able to do it. Don't worry. I'll wait for some times in between. Chetan sir, I shared the data set in this chat box itself. Check it from the chat box. Could you find it? Chetan sir, were you able to find it out? Could you find it out? No? Okay, so I'm sharing the file again. Not a problem. I've shared the file again. Please look into it. I have already, BV, I have already shared this code. I have shared this code with you all. I'm again doing it. So next command is, this is the slicing command because I wanted only some of the rows to be seen. So I can very well do this. I can also find out the shape of any data frame like this. Then if I want to describe a particular data frames, and this is the way how to do it. Now this is important. Remember in the morning what I did was in the Excel sheet, I sorted the data on the basis of the country, and I took only those data which was corresponding to India. This is the command for it, basically. In this case, you are taking only the data for the country India. This is important. And then I can go ahead and describe this data frame again and find out that what are the different number of rows. So it has 91 rows in each columns. 91 rows are pertaining to the country India. I can find out its tail also, etc., etc. Then this is another very good command which is used to see the clusters, group by. So I can group by on the basis of the country, and then I can very well see the data on the basis of the country, that like it has converted them Yemen, Zambia, Zimbabwe, like this. United Arab Emirates, Ukraine. So this is, I have clustered it on the basis of country. Try it out and let me know if you have done this. At any point of time, if you feel any problem or questions, let me know. I'm going on a little slow so that you are able to do it. So don't worry. Let me know at any point of time if you're facing any problem. And the next command, yes, we can give the full path. We can give the full path if you want, if you have stored it somewhere else, which is not there in the same directory. And this is a command in which I just want some of the columns. Remember in the morning, I told you I deleted one of the columns. So this is the way how you delete some of the columns. So this will have only, earlier it had 8 columns and now it had only 4 columns. I don't want the rest of the columns. If you want to discuss anything, then only please unmute your mic. Otherwise, please keep yourself on the mute. Somewhere I have missed one execution. Because of it, it is giving me an error. Here it is. Please keep yourself muted.
Recording in progress.
So this, the df underscore thin underscore India is a data frame which contains the data only for the country India. And also it has only some of the columns. It has not all the columns. So it is thin also and for India also. Got it? Like here, it is for India. So it contains only the data for the country India and it is thin. It means it has only 4 columns, not the rest of the columns. I need only these 4 columns. This I am all doing in the case of preparation of the data. Next, what happened was in the beginning, if you see the head of this, let me check the head of this. Head. So if you check this head, you see the initial rows are all 0. And taking these rows is of no point in doing the analysis. That is what I mentioned in the case of pre-processing the data. You have to remove the missing values, redundant values, duplicate values, all that needs to be removed. So these are all null values which are not required. So what we can do is we take a slice of the data only. So I have shortened the data. I have shortened the data. I have thinned the data. Like this. So this contains some of the rows, some of the columns for the country India. And some of the rows means short. Short means some of the rows. Thin means some of the columns. And India means the data for India. So this is the data frame for India with some of the rows and with some of the columns. Just please let me know if you are with me, if you are able to understand and you are doing it with me. ऐसा ना हो कि खाली हम बोलते जाएं और आप कुछ ना करो. समझ में आ रहा है आप लोगों को? I would share the complete file also with you, but I want you to do it with me. Great, great. Yes, BV is, I'm not sure what is your complete name. TensorFlow may give you error in Jupyter because you may not have installed TensorFlow in the beginning. So you have to do the PIP. The pip command is used to install that. So first do PIP TensorFlow and then only you would be able to do it. I may, this has not been executed. I may go for only one of the columns like this. Some problem with the net. So what I am doing is a very simple thing. I am making X. I want to have X and Y, isn't it? Only I can go for a machine learning model or I can go for predictions. So I need to have X and Y. So I am making the predictions of the number of confirmed cases to be X, and I am taking number of deaths to be Y. And I am trying to find out the relationship between confirmed cases and deaths. That is, I can, in a way, I can find out the number of recoveries and what is the relation between confirmed cases and deaths. It's a very, I won't say it is a very good thing to do, but I just wanted to demonstrate the certain things that I can go for like this also. But if you see here, the date is alphanumeric. Since the date is alphanumeric, I won't be able to do any type of analysis in this case. So I have to first convert this date to numbers. That is what I told you, that I have to convert it into one hot encoder. So this is my X. and this can be my y. I can have a multiple regression also. Multiple regression will have more than one predictor variable. And this is the one which I was talking about, the one-hot encoder. There are different ways of doing it. You can perform any method for that matter for one-hot encoder. And once you have done that, so this would be the output. I will have numbers instead of dates. You can choose any other method for one-hot encoder. Basically, I'm trying to convert my categorical data to numerical data. Done? I hope you all are able to do it. And then finally, I do this. That is what I was trying to tell you. Train, test, and split. So once you have decided your X and Y, that is Y is your predictable variable. In this particular case, what I have done is Y I have taken to be as all the confirmed cases, deaths, and recoveries. I would suggest you or make some changes in the code on your own to make Y only to be the confirmed cases. Y is only the confirmed cases and X is the number, X is the date, or you can take something else. Actually, in this particular example, this COVID example, the number of, it's only on the basis of date that you are deciding. So it's a linear regression model, but actually it doesn't happen. Corona depends on lots and lots and lots of things, lots of parameters. So basically, I would say that this particular analysis is not complete and it's not a good analysis, I would say. It was just a simple analysis to demonstrate that how you can use the machine learning models to do the predictions. So that is why I chose this example, but actually it should not have been the case. Because just on the basis of the date, you are saying that, okay, every day it is going on an increase and what would be the predictable value for it. But that is not correct. Like the second wave came only once the first wave was ended. So at that point, the number of cases were declining. But if you are going for a linear regression, you won't be able to show that. You would not be you would not be declining the number of the cases. So basically, linear regression is not apt for this, and also Just on the basis of the date, you cannot predict the number of cases. But this is what I was trying to show you. And this test size is 0.2. So 80% of the data goes into training and 20% goes for validation. I won't say testing. Testing is the word used by layman. And since now we know that it is validation, so you should always say that it is validation and not testing. So you may get this sort of a graph, which is absolutely not correct. And then you may take a test data. This is the test data. And then you may take a test data and then do the testing on this test data. And then you can predict the model. And in this way, you can show the predictions. That is, this new plot is this. So now you do the testing in this case. Like this, you are going to predict it on the new data. This was important in this. So basically, application of a machine learning algorithm is a 4-line code, simple 4-line code. You do the train, test, and split, and then you apply the regression model on this. Instead of this, you can go for decision trees. That is also a 4-line code. You can go for SPM. That will also be a 4-line code. So whatever we have done till this, all this is what is most important, the analysis of the data. You do the exploratory data analysis, you do the pre-processing of the data. That is what takes the most of your time, effort, and energy. Application of a model is just this 4-line code. So all the students who are in their final years and doing their project should always keep in mind that application of an algorithm or application of a model is not your target. That is very simple. It's only a 4-line code. The main and the most important thing that you are supposed to do is first gather the data that you actually want, pre-process the data, and analyze the data. That is the most important part. If you don't analyze the data, you will not come up with correct results. So analysis of the data is most important. First, analyze the data through different things, like you can create a collinearity matrix, you can find out the correlation between two parameters, you can build a heat map, and so on. If you have understood this, then I would also show you one of the examples in which I have created a heat map and everything. And in this case, I have taken a decision. So as I mentioned in the previous exam, in this, I have taken a linear regression of 4-line code, and decision tree also is a 4-line code here. And you would get the results. So applying a model onto a data is the easiest thing that you can do. Easiest. The most important part lies the evaluation, how you are doing the evaluation. You should not be overfitting the data. That is most important thing. Application of the model is fairly easy. According to model, result varies. Then what is the meaning of that? I didn't get your question, Mayank. Mayank, you were trying to say that if you fine tune your parameters and accordingly your result is going to change. Is this what you are trying to say?
No, ma'am. Actually, I'm Dipali Bhinde.
Okay.
Displays like my name.
That's
Instead of linear regression or it is a decision tree, if I replace it with the SVM, then I will get different results.
yes.
What factor plays the role over there? You
Dipali
have
ma'am,
said
na?
that it is not important that to concentrate on the algorithm.
Yes.
So,
Let me clear it. Dipali ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, Dipali ma'am, I said you need not concentrate on the algorithm in the sense that will take the least amount of your effort. But of course, you have to apply an algorithm, is it?
Okay.
You are not going to give a lot of stress on the sense that is the major part of your work will go towards pre-processing of the data
Yeah.
and gathering of the data, because application of an algorithm is only a 4-line code, but of course you have to do it.
Okay.
Until unless you do it, you will not be able to predict the result, is it?
Okay.
So when I told you about y is equal to mx plus c, so y is your predictable variable which you are predicting it. So until and unless you apply an algorithm, you cannot predict. Correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to apply an algorithm, of course. I have shown you 2 ways of doing it, either through decision trees or through linear regression, and you are getting different results. So
Yeah.
this you have to compare it with your actual data. That is the evaluation you have to do it and
Yeah.
find out your accuracy. The model which gives you the best accuracy is chosen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Okay.
is why we
I have
apply
to do the
different, that is why we apply different algorithms to check my accuracy.
okay.
Remember that Excel sheet which I showed you?
Yeah. Yes.
In this case, now I showed this. What was this? This is basically finding out loss, the accuracy. And
Yes.
this is my predictable prediction, and this was actual. So what is my loss? This is my loss. Then this is my prediction. This is the actual. So this is the loss. This is basically the loss, and this is the prediction.
Okay. Ma'am, again, I wanted to, having some confusion related to these algorithms. I search some of the research papers and mostly they apply for decision prediction. And they apply mostly the new Bayes algorithm, SVM, a decision tree, then it is multi-level perceptron, k nearest neighbor, that algorithm. So I wanted to decide something new. So what is the scope for me if already many of us already have implemented these algorithms? So if I wanted to do something new, what should I can do?
That is, you want to implement a new algorithm.
Yeah, if to predict the particular disease, if I go for the research literature review, then I got multiple or most of the algorithms are already applied and they are having their own results.
That is what I mentioned to Gayatri also in the morning. Na? She said that she is working on face recognition. That is what I told. It is a well-researched problem already.
Yeah.
Already a lot of work has already been done in face recognition, and all types of algorithms have already been experimented. So very less room is left for application of any other algorithm on face recognition. That is what I told her in the morning also. And your question is related to that itself. That is, if the problem is a very common problem like face recognition, gesture recognition, or robotic movements. Now, these
Or
are
it
very
is disease detection.
disease detection. Yes, disease detection. Now, these are all well-researched problems. What you can work upon is on different aspects. Like one of the problems in which people are working currently is if you don't have enough data, then what to do? So GANs, generative neural networks, or there is one that is now coming up in which what you do is generative adversarial networks. So in this case, what you do is you generate the data because you have only very less data. Like suppose you have only, in this case also in which I discussed, there was only 264 rows. Now 264 rows are too less for any machine learning algorithm to do correct predictions. So what you do is you generate a lot of data from this. From 264, you generate some 1 lakh of data. So GANs is one of them, a new technology which has, I won't say new, It's
Hmm.
already 5 to 6 years old, in which people have started generating new data. And then the next thing is another adversarial attacks have come into picture, in which they say that machine learning is learning noise. And because of this learning of noise, that is overfitting of the data, and they are coming up with inaccurate results, which is not visible to the human eye. So then also it is creating a problem in which you have not, in which the data is hampered, the security is at breach, and you are not able to identify it. The machine learning algorithm is not able to identify that. So this is another field. So your question was, can I have a new algorithm? So you may come up with a new algorithm like a decision tree or something, but yes, it's not a very easy task.
That's
So better is, you come up with a new problem altogether. So don't just apply an algorithm onto a data set. Don't confine yourself or your research only to an application of a machine learning algorithm onto a data set. Instead, try to find out some another problem which may happen in machine learning. As I mentioned, the data is less.
Yes.
This is one of the problems. Second is attack on the data which is not identifiable by the machine learning algorithm. That is adversarial attacks. Second, the third can be also like as I mentioned, machine learning is a black box. So try getting into that black box. Don't use NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn libraries. Try implementing it on your own using C++ or Java or even Python, but don't use these libraries. Try doing it on your own. Then maybe you can come up with new ideas and come up with new logics. But again, that is not so easy.
Yes. Or I can go for the pre-processing. I can make more focus on that portion.
Ma'am, that is also quite well researched. बहुत काम हो चुका है उस पे भी. But yes, pre-processing is all related to the data that you have received. So suppose if you're not able to get the data well, then you can apply different sets of pre-processing onto it.
And again, ma'am, I heard that instead of the data which is available online on the sites, like UCI and other resources, if we go for the real data, then it is more beneficial for the society.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. And since you're talking about the problems, this can be one of the research problems for creation of the data. And believe me, you can publish a SCI very good journal paper on the data creation.
Okay.
Like suppose if you are going for palm reading, suppose it's a very hypothetical, but if you are going for suppose palm reading and you don't have enough data for that palm reading, so what you can do is you create a data set. You create a data set of 2 GB and 3 GB with some thousands and thousands of images, which is not available, and you share it online.
Okay.
And for this also you can write a paper and get it published.
Okay. Yeah.
So this can be one of the research problems in which I have created a data for this particular problem. Okay. So if you are choosing any, as what Chetan sir mentioned in the morning, that he wants to study and perform that where a mall should appear in Amravati. So this is a real world problem and you can use it. ये आपको कहीं पे भी नहीं मिलेगी. So in case you have to create your own data set, you have to do the pre-processing on it on your own, you have to do everything on your own, and this is a very good problem.
Okay.
So and that is related to the society as well. If anybody can use your researched data and perform certain experiments onto that.
Okay. Yes.
So again, I am repeating, please don't confine your research. Even the BTech students, please just don't apply an algorithm onto an existing data set and come up with the results. That is not a project. As I mentioned, it is a 4-line code. Just a 4-line code. Kaggle से आपने एक data जो अभी मैंने आप लोग को दिखाया, this is very simple. You take a data set from Kaggle, apply machine learning algorithm onto it. This is too simple. It will hardly take a night for you to do it. So just don't confine yourself in just taking the data set and application of algorithm onto it. Do something different. And that different lies in the domain of the problem itself, and you can tackle something which the machine learning is not able to tackle. As I give you an example of less data.
Hmm.
Machine learning doesn't work on less data. How to do it?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other question? Goldie Gerbais. Do you have any question? Go ahead and ask your question. Goldie, you can ask your question.
Goldie ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Goldie. Go ahead, please.
Hi. Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, as
Good
you
afternoon.
said that, yes, ma'am, as you said that it's better to take the real-time data. But ma'am, for example, if someone having the topic related with the medical field, okay, and in that
Mhm.
case, we have to use the data set which is already available in the repositories, okay. But
Correct.
you said that that will be not that much effective. Then how we can go for collecting the real-time data? Means, for example, how I can tie with the hospitals to get the real-time images or real-time values? Is there any process or what? How we can do that? Can you please tell us
That is
about
only
that?
connections. That is only connections. If you have someone in the hospital or in the medical college, then you can take the data from him. Like AIMS has a MOU with IIIT Nagpur, and we are trying to get the data from them and do some algorithm implementation on that. That is possible. But secondly, coming to your question, in which the data which is already available and you want to
Repository.
and do some on the existing data, that can also be done, but choose a different problem.
Okay.
Taken a like suppose tumor detection is a problem in medical field. And the tumor detection is a problem which has already been researched upon. So don't go for tumor detection. You do something different. Now I am not from a medical field, so I won't be able to give you the exact things. But yes, you can choose a different problem altogether. Maybe with the same data set, you can have something different. Like you have IRIS data set, which is very freely available, and everybody is working on that. So IRIS dataset has different sets of glaucoma detection is one of them. Then there is some other eye disease which you can figure it out from the IRIS dataset itself. So choose a different problem to choose a different disease. That can be one of the problems.
Okay. And ma'am, for one more question, if I want to go for the SCI publication, so what exactly the standard of paper? What should be the standard of paper? Means, can we have the review paper in SCI, or just we want the
Yes,
implementation?
No, we do have review papers, but yes, in the case of review paper, it should have at least 50 to 60 papers which you should be reviewing. The references should be more than 60.
Okay. And there is no compulsion of the implementation, right?
No, if it is a review paper, then there is no compulsion for implementation. But if it is not, then you have to go for implementation. If you have a very good idea, as the ma'am which was asking earlier the questions, she said that she wanted to come up with a new algorithm. Then that is fine. If you are coming with a new algorithm also, it is good enough.
Exactly. Actually, ma'am, I am doing my PhD from VIT. So that's why I asked such questions, because I have to work on the, as my guide said, that go with the repositories. So, and you told that it's better to go with the real-time value. That's why I asked you what to do and how to do.
The repository you can work upon, as I said earlier also, but you need to come up with a different problem altogether. Iris detection पे already काम हो चुका है. Glaucoma detection is another eye disease that has also been well researched. So you cannot go for glaucoma detection, of course.
Achha,
But
means
you
we
can
have
go
to
for
add
something else.
Okay, means we have to add some new things. If the things are already done, we have to do something different.
इन मेडिकल फील्ड्स एक्चुअली आप बहुत अच्छे से उस पे काम कर सकते हो. जैसे मैंने अभी बताया कि डेटा बहुत कम है.
हाँ,
You have
exactly,
very less data.
Right,
and
right.
you don't have the positive and the negative data with that. Like the most important problem in medical is, like, suppose if you're going for heart attack detection, so
Right.
you would have very less positive data.
Huh.
So how will you identify that? So this is known as skewed data set. Skewed data set in which you have a very less positive data, and then you are not able to train your model well onto it.
Right, ma'am.
So come up with certain methods for doing it.
Okay.
There are presently also, there are many methods by which you do it, but you come up with something else and say that, okay, I was able, now ensemble learning is one of them, and CV method is one of them. But there are
Yes.
many other methods which you can use and say that, okay, even if I have less positive data, I was able to come up with good results.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
एक मुझे आपको heat map दिखाना था.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm having one question, ma'am. Suppose
Yes,
the topic is disease detections in a plant.
Yes.
Disease detection in plant. So for this topic, which algorithms will be best, ma'am, and how should we have to go for this?
Detection of the plants, ma'am, आप images ले रहे हो ना plants की?
Yes, ma'am.
I think in that case, CNN works best.
Yeah.
But you will have to try other algorithms also, but CNN with different modifications. CNN के भी बहुत से modifications हैं. तो आप उसमें फिर number of layers, number of weights, number of parameters वो change करके आप अच्छा कुछ कर सकते हैं.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Yes, please.
जो layers हम add करते हैं, on the basis of what we have to decide the layer, how much layer we added in that.
Accuracy.
Yeah. Okay.
आप जैसे जैसे layers बढ़ाते जाओगे accuracy बढ़ती जाएगी, but एक time पे overfitting होनी शुरू हो जाती है.
Exactly, that's was.
हाँ, so that you have to take care of, because overfitting is a very big problem in CNN, in neural networks basically.
Right,
So then we go for optimization techniques. We go for lasso, ridge, and dropout.
Okay.
These are the three very important optimizations that we do in CNN and neural networks.
So, ma'am,
Because as
please continue, ma'am.
बताइए बोलिए.
Leads ratio and means when we have to select a particular what one.
Which one to choose when?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're going for feature selection in which you want to decide and you want to remove some of the parameters, then we go for lasso and lasso optimization, lasso regression. And if you don't want to go for any changes, matlab you want to have all the parameters, all the parameters are important for you and you don't have to go for feature selection, then you go for ridge.
Okay.
And dropout is easier as compared to lasso and ridge, and it is easier to implement as well. So you can choose any one of them.
Thank you so much.
But generally we go for ridge. Ridge is the one which is mostly used. एक तो उसकी complexity काफी कम होती है as compared to lasso. मुझे आपको heat map दिखाना था. Just give me 2 minutes. Yeah. Like this is one of the experiments that I have done on multiple linear regression, and there's a housing case study, which is a quite famous case study, in which we're trying to find out the price of the house on the basis of various parameters. And these various parameters are number of bedrooms, bathrooms, stories, what are the number of stories, whether it is on the main road or not, how many number of guest rooms you have, basement, hot water heating, air conditioning, parking, etc., etc. So there are so many parameters, and on the basis of that, you are deciding what should be the price of the house. So this is the pair plot in which you are plotting each and every this parameter with any other parameter. So bathroom is plotted with all the parameters. Similarly, stories is plotted against price, against area, against bedrooms, bathrooms, stories, parking, etc. This gives you an idea that this is a visualization. So this is all done with the case of EDA, exploratory data analysis. Try exploring the data, then box plots are formed. This is the pair plots. These are box plots. And then you also do it with scatter plots. These are scatter plots, box plots, scatter plots. And this is what I was trying to show you, that a lot of data preparation goes in. You add dummy variables to, like, suppose if you have 0, 1, 0, 1, and scaling is done a lot. Like suppose this price and bathrooms is of the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, but the price is of the order of 13 lakhs, 14 lakh, 13 crores, yeah, 1.3 crores, and so on. So in this case, the data analysis will not be correct, because one is in the range of lakhs and one is in the range of 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to do scaling. So scaling is one of the pre-processing that you have to do. And as was one of the ma'am was saying that, can I go ahead and do something in pre-processing? So yes, you would have different results if you do pre-processing in a different way. Rescaling the features as what I mentioned. This is a heat map that you can have. Heat map is very important because it gives you the correlation between two matrices. Like price is very much correlated with which of the values. So it says 0.79 is this. What is 0.79? The semi-furnished. If the house is semi-furnished, then the price is definitely going to increase, and it depends upon it a lot. It's 0.079, sorry. This is 0.53. This is the one which matters a lot. The area, of course, yes. The area of the house matters a lot. If it is more, then the price is more. If the area is less, the price is less. So this is a correlation between two attributes together. Again, if I go for price, one is 0.53 and this is 0.52. Let's see what is this. Bathrooms. Number of bathrooms matters. Then 0.41 is stories. At which story your house is. So all these things are going to matter for deciding the price. And like suppose the one which is very less. I think this is the least one, 0.079. So since this has the least effect on the price, I can drop this column. This all is done to reduce the complexity and reduce the overfitting of the data, because more the complex the data is, more the overfitting would be there. So of course I can remove this building in the linear. So this is the linear model that can be built, and I can remove that particular variable. And then I can have the regression results for this. Then there are various ways of variance inflation factor can be found out, which will tell you that how the two attributes are combined, are correlated to each other, and so on. So this is all things can be done. I just wanted to give you an idea that how you can evaluate. There are various ways of evaluation of your algorithm, and also there are different ways by which you do the pre-processing. So I hope I was able to clear some of your doubts. The remaining can be cleared tomorrow. Tomorrow I have another session in the morning. So here we come to the end of this particular session. Any doubts or further questions?
Any questions from participant? Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Instruction for participant. To mark your today's attendance, you have to submit quiz and feedback form. I would like to announce that today's session is over. We will meet tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for day 4 session with Mr. Sharangadar ma'am, with Dr. Pooja ma'am.
Yes.
Mr. Sharangadar Sharma, Senior Technical Program Manager, Akamai Technologies, Bangalore, on topic industrial approach of artificial intelligence. Now, thank you to all. Thank you so much.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Tomorrow morning I have a session, and tomorrow
Yes.
evening has a session.
Tomorrow morning you have session, ma'am, at 10:30. Second session we have 1:30 with Sharanda Sharma, sir.
Yes, that is what. Okay.
Okay. I request all of you, please switch on your cameras. So we'll take one snap. We will take one photo. Everyone, I request you, please switch on their camera. I request other participants also so that one more snap. Okay, just a second. Okay, thank you everyone. We'll meet tomorrow at 10:30 morning with Pooja ma'am again and we'll get new more about details about the email and other, right? Pooja ma'am?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.